Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, I shared in another video today that Atlas Intel is considered to be the top rated pollster in the US. So, that's according to Nate Silver, his analysis of every pollster. And it's because they've been the most consistently accurate in the past as far as what they predicted and what the outcome was. So, they had some bad news for Trump today. I shared that with you all. Well, in another part of their polling, they asked about the Democrats and the Democratic Party. So they asked about the politicians, some of the party's recent actions, and then, or not really recent actions, but overall, what they stand for, what people think they're up to. The news was not great. The Democratic Party outcome in this poll was just as bad, maybe even a little worse than it was for Trump. So, first of all, they asked respondents whether they had a negative or a positive opinion of various politicians. Barack Obama, you will probably not be shocked to hear, is still pretty popular. He had a 47% popularity in this poll or approval rating. However, what was kind of shocking is that he is now underwater. So he has always pretty much had a above water and positive popularity or approval rating. In this poll, he has a 49% negative opinion. So very unusual, kind of a changing tide. They also, for some reason, threw in Michelle Obama, as you can see in this graphic. I don't know why. She is not a politician, and she has made it clear she doesn't want to be a politician. She does not like politics. So she's still, though, she has a 44% positive rating. Again, she's underwater, though, which is unusual. So she had a 48% negative opinion in this poll. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democrat from New York, she is in the House. For those who don't know, maybe out of, people in other countries, she was the next favorite. So she had a 42% positive rating. However, her negative is also higher than her positive. So she is underwater at 51% negative approval. And then some others were really sad. I mean, way down at the bottom, Joe Biden has a 32% positive rating, 58% negative. I think a lot of that probably has to do with how he, left office and the fact that he chose to run for a second term, even though he indicated initially that he wasn't going to do that. He was going to step aside for a new generation. And then, the outcome of the election, of course. Hillary Clinton came in with 29% positive, just pathetic, 59% negative. I mean, can we stop inviting her and her very unpopular husband to headline at the Democratic National Convention? Seriously, like we just need to move on from that era. And Gavin Newsom is probably crying right now because he also had only a 29% positive rating, 58% negative. So this is someone who's talking about, or hasn't talked about it, but it's very obvious. He thinks he's going to be the next presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. So I think he needs to hang it up. I think he needs to give up the idea of running for president. He has got this new podcast going. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's basically like a right-wing fanboy podcast. I mean, he's having all these right-wingers on, like Steve Bannon, like Charlie Kirk, and he is just gushing over them and trying to find common ground. And it's like, you are so misreading the room. You are just not reading the room clearly. So many of these standard issue Democrats just do not get the moment right now. They think that it is just business as usual. Let's be nice. Let's lean into the middle. Let's, try to show that we can work across the aisle. You may win over some people theoretically on the right with that kind of shit, but they're not going to vote for you. And then in the meantime, you're pissing off your Democratic base. So really, who are you winning over? I mean, clearly from this result, no one, no one. It is the, hardcore Democratic blue MAGA base that he is. Those are the only people that are going to stick with him. The, blue no matter who crowd is going to stick with him with this kind of crap. But other than that, like I've always said, you stand in the middle of the road too long, you're going to get run over eventually. And that's what these, old, adage, old thinking, archaic, just out of the loop, just not in touch with the base Democrats are doing right now. They don't get it. They think that the politics of the 1990s and the early 2000s are still going to work, that they're running the oldest archaic playbook, and they don't get it. And then Atlas also asked questions about the Democratic Party, and the results, again, not good, very telling. So they asked respondents a series of questions, and they asked, do you agree with these statements? Or not questions, but they made statements. They said, do you agree with these statements or do you not? So these are the following statements. I'm going to run through them real quick, give you the results. So the Democratic Party is facing a crisis of leadership. That was the statement. 83% agreed, 12% disagreed, 5% said, don't know, not sure. The next statement, Democrats don't know how to effectively oppose Donald Trump. 77% agreed, 15% disagreed, 8% said, nah, I don't know. Obviously not paying attention. Next statement was, the party is out of touch with real issues affecting Americans. 64% agreed with that statement. 34% disagreed, 2% said, don't know. Next statement was, Democrats have systematically betrayed some of their longstanding constituents. Again, 64% agreed, 25% disagreed, 11% said, don't know. Next statement was, Democrats' woke discourse has gone too far. 55% agreed, 40% disagreed, 5% said, I don't know. The last one, this was worded a bit strange, in my opinion. I think they messed up and it could have confused people. But anyway, they stated, quote, Democrats aren't so different from Trump when it comes to foreign policy. I mean, you have to understand, a lot of people in this country are not going to understand that question. In other words, and how I would have phrased it is, Democrats are similar to Trump when it comes to foreign policy. So anyway, the way they asked it, that, they are not so different from him, 13% agreed, only 79% disagreed, and 8% said, nah, I don't know. So horrific news for the Democrats. If they continue down this same road, they're in trouble. If they don't wake up and realize that this is not the 1990s anymore, they're going to blow it. They're going to blow it, because clearly voters do not want leaders who just are wimps, who go by the standard playbook, that just lay down and die. They want people who are going to fight for them, who are going to fight for average Americans, and who sound and act like average Americans. With the exception of Obama, the voters are tired. They're tired of the same old cookie cutter, made in a consultant lab Democratic politician. So we'll see. We'll see if this does any good. We'll see if the old guard steps aside and takes a hint. When AOC is the next most popular politician in the poll, second only to Barack Obama, and all of the others are trailing behind way at the bottom in the 30% range. Not even, I don't know if you guys saw that, but Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom, they didn't even score as high as Republican Mike Johnson. That is called a clue. So hopefully Democratic leaders will get one. All right, guys, I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Please donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.